This video is all about our hen house. This hen house, which is only a small part of our property. This property. But even though it's quite small in the bigger picture, it's not small in and of itself. It's much more than just a hen house. Bertus has made a sketch that shows the whole building, including the parts that are hidden underground. It has 4.5 rooms and a total surface of 60 square meters. It has housed chickens, yes, but also dogs, firewood, and a Fiat Panda car until roughly 15 years ago. And before it ever became a hen house, it was used for drying chestnuts, over here, and for harvesting rainwater in a big cistern below the building, here. That's the half room. It's close to 200 years old, and in the 1930s it got a new roof, replacing the original slate with Marsigliese roof tiles. There are 4 exterior doors. One door that's undecided whether it wants to be a door or a window, 2 interior doors of which 1 has been bricked up, and 4 windows of which 2 have been closed up. This is what it looks like today. And while it hasn't changed all that much on the outside, inside is a world of difference. Here's an impression of the before. This story begins in May 2023 and runs all the way through to this week. In May, we started clearing out the central room, which was by far the messiest. Back then, we thought this was the first building we would renovate and convert from agricultural into residential space. But for multiple reasons, including planning permissions, budget efficiency, and making the most of the lowest hanging fruit first, this plan has changed a bit. So the Henhouse renovation has become somewhat of a side project for now. A project in between projects that we take months-long breaks from, but return to every once in a while because it's our favorite distraction. We moved scaffolding parts, many wheelbarrows of old hay and straw, rolls of chicken wire, an old wire fence separation in the middle of the room, bricks and roof tiles, pieces of wood and steel sheeting.
At some point we wanted to turn this building into a holiday cottage, and in order to get some sense of space we needed to get all the stuff out, and had old scaffolding and random bits and pieces and chicken wire and mesh. But yeah, it's a really nice space here. I really think this could work as a bedroom. I think maybe a kitchen or a living room, and if we open this door there's also a smaller room next door for the bathroom maybe.
In October, we cleared the very overgrown exterior staircase that goes down to what used to be the actual chicken coop. In the spring of 2024, we continued with the clearing out, because even though this building isn't going to be turned into a livable cottage anytime soon, we did want to turn it into usable space, and at a very minimum preserve its structural condition.
Yeah, it's time to get rid of these dog shelters. Excuse me.
So we took out the dog shelters, cleared the path a little so that the doors could open again, and took down dozens of beautiful chestnut and oak boards that had been stored over the roof beams for decades. Part of the reason why we spent quite a bit more time on the henhouse this spring is because of all the rain we had. 2023 was an unusually dry year for this area in Italy, but 2024 was unusually wet.
Ja.
Aanpakken. Want het ding is gewoon, het brekkoppen maar wel een zware. En je bent bang dat als ik die...
Oké. Dat is echt waar, hè?
Ja, maar jij moet hem proberen zo lang mogelijk tegenhouden.
Ja,
Maar
dat
ja,
probeer ik ook.
ja, ik kan er nog lang niet bij zetten. Ja, wacht een keer, dat is 1 of 2 handen.
Even denken hoor. Hoe kan ik hem helpen, ondersteunen?
Doe maar gewoon zo.
Anders dan moeten de rollen omdraaien.
Nee, nee. Mijn omhooghoudkracht is sterker dan mijn grip om hem tegen te houden. Dat is goed.
Ik pak hem over van je.
Ja, ik heb hem.
Oké, ik ook. We hebben hem samen. Kak in mijn hemd.
Ach, ik wil al niet weten waar het allemaal zit bij mij. Echt al overal, dat kan ik u garanderen.
Oké, daar gaan we.
Ja, laat gaan.
Yes!
Hoera! Oké, dat is waars voor heute.
Ja,
Dat is waars.
dat is waar.
Ja.
Dat is waar.
Oh, ik ben nog nooit zo blij geweest dat we klaar zijn.
I mean, opening up the ceiling gives you a really good sense of it. All the old stuff gone. Now that all the wood is gone, it's much easier to see where the problems with the roof are exactly. There's a few cracked and a few displaced tiles, and it will be easier to fix, of course. It's very convenient to now have access to these wooden boards, and they're surprisingly in good shape still, with very little woodworm or beetle damage.
Late April, at the end of a day of different projects, we chipped off a small section of cement render above the old garage doors. This section of the building was added later. We think there used to be an opening between the two buildings originally. The stonework above the door is much more rudimentary than that of the rest of the building, and the roof construction is different as well.
Stones under the roof there are like really nice and sculpted. Like they've really been sculpted to fit, to be exactly flat and to kind of like go like this a bit. Schuin opwaarts. And these are just whatever they had on hand.
There is more cement render that needs to be removed on this building in the future. Cement and stone are not the best combination of materials, as natural stone likes to breathe, and you want your mortar to be sacrificial. Mortar should be softer so that it will crack and weather before the stone does. And cement is way too hard for pietra di langa. In case you're wondering what we did with all this beautiful wood, we stored it for later use. In May 2024, we got round to moving it all into its new space in the big warehouse. And there was rain, much more rain. So we continued clearing out the little attic above the garage space.
Ja, laat hem los denk ik.
Ja, heb je hem?
Ja. Ja.
Next up was taking out the rotten floorboards. The roof above it is positively leaky, and with this floor in place, the ceiling height was very low at barely 2 meters. When we get the paperwork done to turn this building into residential space in the future, Italian building code will require the ceiling here to be at least 2.40 meters. And then we also cleaned up the floor. With all the wood that we took down, a lot of dust as well as bird and mouse droppings came down too. And there was a thick layer of compacted straw and muck still on the floor.
We knew there were some stones here, but not that was this nice and complete. It's because of the layer of muck, straw and poo from animals covering it.
This past week, Bertus and my dad took out the roosting bars in the chicken coop room and the ceiling above.
Malden is dan zo. Het weet maar niet, is verstopt.
A long time ago, this side of the building was used to dry chestnuts. The chestnuts were placed on the first floor, about half a meter thick. and in the cellar below, a slow-burning fire was made to speed up the drying process, which took about a month.
Direct gelopen, hè?
The heat and smoke of the fire went up through the slits in the floor and openings in the roof. The dried chestnuts would be turned into chestnut flour and were an important winter staple food. That's why the walls, beams and floor are all black. It looks like the smoke helped preserve the wood, but many of the slats that made up the floor were broken, and the way the floor was made, although ideal for drying chestnuts, was not very workable as a floor surface for living.
That should do, right, to start?
Dat is goed. En dan is de laatste.
Yes.
Even though we're not turning this into a livable cottage immediately, we do want to turn it to a usable and functional space. To make that happen, there are a few things that need to be done. First of all, fixing the leaky roof. There are a few missing and cracked tiles that need replacing, but also the wooden roof structure above the garage section needs to be rebuilt. The whole building will need an updated roof with reinforced concrete ring beam when we turn it into residential space. Again, Italian building code. But for now, the important part is to keep the building dry. Next, there's a few of the lintels that have been damaged by rot and insects and need replacing. The thing I'm probably looking forward to most is fixing and pointing the stonework, especially around the doors where a lot of cornerstones are missing. When I walked in here yesterday, I could totally imagine this becoming a workshop and learning space of sorts for creative, outdoorsy crafts and activities. I can imagine wreath making or basket weaving or wood carving happening here. And maybe it won't happen in this exact space, but I'd love to see this sort of thing at the Cascina in the future. Another important job is installing French drains on the outside of the semi-interato wall so that the moisture in the wall is reduced. And then there's also making more doors and shutters or even windows to keep rain, dust and critters out as much as possible anyway. We don't have any intention of making all the openings neatly aligned or moving interior walls. We adore that they're all over the place and want to work with what is as much as possible. But we will eventually open up the windows and doors that have been closed off and open up a small niche downstairs to become an additional window. Once the roof is dry, we'll install a new wooden floor too. For now, we're using part of the building as a garden shed. It may seem logical to keep the chicken coop a chicken coop for now, but since we do eventually want to turn this building into living space, we don't want to fill it back up with animal droppings after all this time spent cleaning. When we get chickens, we will build them a cute new coop, possibly a mobile one, elsewhere on the land. Good progress can be accomplished over a longer period, even with long intervals in between, even when it feels like you're not getting a lot done, even when the real work still must begin. I hope this video reminds you to not worry about whether you're going fast enough, doing enough, achieving enough. Those worries slow you down more than anything, make you doubt yourself, and have a way of sucking the joy and fulfillment out of any project. As long as you keep moving in the direction you're heading to, even if it means taking one step, pausing a while, perhaps take a few steps back, so that you can then take another leap forward, you will arrive where you need to be.